This is the Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Bruschi and continuing coverage of the case against Bryan Kohberger.
The defense team representing Bryan Kohberger is cornered. And now they're seeing exactly how they plan to fight their way out. With Judge Hippler recently shutting down two of their biggest plays, blocking their third-party culprit theory, and refusing to delay the trial any further. Their roadmap has narrowed dramatically. So what's left? What do you do when you can't blame anybody else, you're running out of time, and you need to make this person appear human? To put it quite bluntly, appear human. At least appear. Maybe not, but appear. I know we've already heard the arguments. Oh, it's autism, it's this, it's that, it's everything. Yeah. What do you do? We're going to dive into this with Jennifer Coffindaffer in just a second. Before we do, though, please, I want to hear what your thoughts are on this case. And if you think he's innocent, I'm all open to hearing your arguments. But an argument is not, he's innocent, he's being railroaded. That's not an argument. That's just a statement, okay? So I could go, he's guilty, he's a horrible person. And if I don't say anything else, there's no context, there's no argument, that's just a statement. So if you want to argue from the other side, you are more than welcome to. But you have to bring evidence, receipts, something other than just your emotional hyperbole. Okay? That's the rule. We don't do the, let's just say loud statements and run away. Because, yeah, we don't do that. We're certainly not doing that on this case. So I want to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments on YouTube. Just search Hidden Killers, the Tony Bruschi, if you're not already there. If you're listening to us on the podcast platform and wondering, where do I comment? That's where you go. YouTube. Search Hidden Killers, the Tony Bruschi. And, let us know what you think there. So, what do you do in this situation? Well, you turn back the hands of time. You go backwards. Way back. We're going way, way back. To another time. In another place. They're going to be calling on people from Kohberger's past, including former coaches, high school staff, and even a corrections officer from Pennsylvania to take the stand. Keep in mind, Bryan Kohberger is a 30-year-old man. Granted, these crimes took place roughly 3 years ago now. So it would have put him at being 27, 28? Can you imagine being 27 or 28 and having your high school counselor called in as a witness for anything? Like, really? This is the best you got? Your high school counselor? It's a bold move. Some would argue a desperate one. These witnesses, many whom haven't seen or spoken to Kohberger in more than a decade, aren't going to testify about evidence or alibis. They're being called to show who he was. A troubled, awkward, misunderstood figure, shaped by years of bullying, isolation, and internal struggle. But in a courtroom that will soon hear the details of 4 students brutally murdered in their home in the middle of the night, does it really matter that Bryan Kohberger was bullied in high school? That he was awkward? That he didn't fit in? Because guess what? That's most of our stories. I don't have a lot of sympathy. Figure it out. Even with autism. You can advance. You can. Trust me. Oh, you know what you're talking about. No, I do. I know exactly what I'm talking about, kids. To break it all down, who these Pennsylvania witnesses are, what they may actually bring to the stand, and why this may be more about sparing Kohberger's life than providing or proving his innocence. I'm joined by retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer with her expertise in criminal profiling, investigative strategy, and trial preparation. She's the perfect person to analyze whether this witness strategy holds any real weight or if it risks backfiring entirely. So what's the end game here? Are these witnesses building towards a defense or towards mitigation? Will the jury buy it?
Well, the defense, as you mentioned in your intro, is really narrowing. They were hoping to get the third-party culprit defense on the table, naming multiple other individuals as being responsible for these tragic murders. But when Judge
Kipling.
slammed that door shut, they had to take a different route. And that route is going to certainly be calling other witnesses from his early years. And the purpose of that really is to paint a picture of this individual who was troubled. And I think really trying to lay out issues that he had in his life and in his world to really try to garner sympathy. I think that's the main purpose of most of these witnesses.
Are they there for more of the sentencing area of this than the actual trial itself in terms of trying to save his life? Because I can't imagine anyone saying, well, he was a troubled kid, and that, somehow the jury's going to be like, well, that justifies killing 4 college kids. He had trouble. Sure. Obviously, they're trying to paint him as a human being. Is that more, you think, the goal here?
Yeah, absolutely. They want to paint early on what kind of person he was in their own light. And as you said, some of these witnesses are certainly not going to be happy about testifying, but they're going to be called to the stand most likely because the defense just doesn't have another option. They are trying to keep, I think, Bryan Kohberger from receiving the death penalty if he is indeed convicted.
Yeah, it feels like that is obviously that's the ultimate goal be to try and get him free, which doesn't seem to be like what they're shooting for anymore. It seems far more to just keep him in the cage. Former boxing coach Jesse Harris, character witness or a pattern disruptor. He's going to be called, or he is being called. Harris ran the gym where Kohberger trained. He was subpoenaed and will potentially testify about Kohberger's behavior and personality during his youth, specifically that time between him being the younger Kohberger, where he was a bit overweight, being picked on. We've all heard that story. Then he seemed to get into boxing, lost a lot of the weight, and from what we heard, personality changed quite a bit. What do you think we're going to garner from the boxing coach if he does take the stand?
Well, that was such an interesting part of his background that I think could sort of blow up on the defense, right? Mm-hmm. Because he's going to paint Kohberger as a very motivated individual, somebody who lost around 110 pounds, somebody who wanted to be in shape, who wanted to be respected in terms of his physical capabilities. And I think if he's truly called, honestly, I think this helps the prosecution because the prosecution is going to show how fit he was. And of course, a lot of people say, oh my gosh, he murdered 4 people in this small period of time. You'd have to be physically fit. Well, guess what? Bryan Kohberger was physically fit.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. I thought, well, what is the advantage here going to be of this? And they got to play it really careful with anybody that they call back from his past because, anybody from his past that we've heard publicly speak about him in the last 3 years, I've yet to hear one that's like, great guy, super dude, always nice, always there, always. It's like everything's like kind of odd, kind of weird, had a temper, had a lot of anger issues, had a lot of, issues with interacting with other human beings. I don't know what the advantage is here of the boxing coach because he's going to do exactly what you just said. He got in shape. He got motivated to be in shape. And we're talking about boxing. It's kind of a violent sport. It is boxing. It's not like he got into track. It was his track coach or something. It shows, it's an aggressive type thing. I'm concerned that that's going to, I'm not pro Kohberger, but I would, if I were the defense, I'd be concerned that would backfire. I would also be concerned about any questions about his personality and what this man may have witnessed in Kohberger over those years, considering a lot of people said he changed quite dramatically personality-wise at that time.
Right. It's a tightrope. I think it's a dangerous tightrope. I'm sure they're going to try to show, listen, he was picked on, he was bullied, and look at how he pulled himself up by his bootstraps and, meant to do very good in this arena of letting his aggression out in a controlled environment, something like that. but I think it's very sticky. And, remember that it's alleged that Kaylee Gonzalez was actually punched. So I think that's also going to be interesting because now you have somebody, a kickboxer, but somebody who's trained to fight. And that comes in. It's dangerous territory for the defense.
It's almost like they're trying to paint a story of redemption or something in his early youth. A guy who got his stuff together, who really, saw, okay, I'm not gonna be the fat kid in the basement that's being made fun of. I'm gonna change my life. I'm gonna go and do this. But what ended up seeming to happen, I don't know, it was redemption, but more of like a psychological regression, because from everything we've heard, sounds like Kohberger kind of wanted to, square up all the loose angles of everybody who made fun of him in the earlier years when he finally kind of got a little confidence and a little bit more in shape. It wasn't hey, let me join the group and let me, be one of you guys now and let's have fun and enjoy life. It's more like, let me go settle all the scores from the past.
Yeah, I agree. This is a case that, in my view, I've always stated it, if he indeed do this, it's a state of retribution. It's a state of revenge. That was his mindset. And he built the tools to do that. By calling some of the people from his past, we're going to see how really possibly this monster was created.
High school advisor Ann Farham, voluntary testimony and strategic optics are what's at play here. Farham has already agreed to testify. This is one who said, okay, I'll do it. Avoiding a court battle. Her appearance may lend an image of credibility and care, someone stepping forward uncoerced. What do you think we're going to hear from the high school counselor? She would be one who would have known him pretty well at that point in time when a lot of these things were going on in his life and a lot of trouble was being talked about. And a lot of this is the area where he would have been talking about visual snow and such in the online postings that we've seen.
Right. Tony, this is the problem. This is how much what I would say the defense is really reaching. Going back to a high school counselor.
I know. The guy's 30 now.
Yeah. It's really, really a far reach to try to make this person your character witness. I would believe that they have interviewed her with their investigators and that perhaps she has said something that is sort of paints him in a light of, as you said, somebody who was just struggling, kind of the kid that's just always picked on and trying to show some sort of sympathy or some light of sympathy for him. Again, I just don't think it's going to hit with the jurors because it's so long ago. And it doesn't matter when you consider the crime that he did. You can't have the excuse of, well, I was picked on when I was in 9th grade. That's really not going to fly.
I can't imagine. Just the idea of being 30 and whatever crime it is you committed, that your best witness is your high school counselor. It's like, who was like almost 10 years prior to the crime even taking place, even further now, that this is the best you got? This is really the only person that's going to be able to stand up for you and say, he was a very nice boy. It's just, what is that? Yeah, I guess it really is coming down to trying to see, okay, maybe he wasn't always evil, or maybe there was a side to him that existed prior. I'm wondering if they're trying to paint the side of him prior to his transformation, if you will, the softer side, the lighter side, the side that got picked on, the side that may have been a little bit more compassionate. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're trying to show sort of that he wasn't always like this. And again, I see it as gaining sympathy or at least some sort of empathy for this person so that when it comes to sentencing time, they can spare him. That's what I see that the defense is trying to do.
Retired FBI Special Agent Jennifer Coffindaffer offering a brutally honest look at what the Kohberger defense appears to be doing and what it risks. As Jennifer laid out, this isn't about proving Kohberger didn't do it, it appears, anymore. That door seemed to have closed when the third-party suspect motion got tossed. This isn't about winning the trial anymore. It's about surviving the sentencing, it appears. The entire strategy now seems focused on humanizing Kohberger just enough to spare him from the death penalty. Former coaches, school advisors, and early life figures are being called not to explain the crime, but to explain the man who may have committed it. It's a high-risk move because juries are smart. These people don't even want to come in and testify. They know the difference between context and excuses. Jennifer also made a really good point. These are the types of character witnesses that can backfire. A boxing coach talking about discipline and aggression. A high school advisor reminiscing about a troubled kid a decade before the murders. That's not mitigation. That's potentially reinforcement, especially if those same witnesses open the door to more damning observations about Kohberger's behavioral changes, temper, or isolation. If the jury perceives any of these witnesses as irrelevant or reaching, the entire strategy can crumble under the weight of its own desperation. So what's next? The trial clock is ticking. The judge has made it clear there will be no more delays. Jury selection is weeks away, and with motions denied, alternate theories blocked, and character witnesses loaded into the courtroom pipeline, the defense has now bet everything on psychology, empathy, and a sliver of sympathy. The question now is, will any of this matter once the prosecution presents the forensic evidence? What do you guys think? Tell me in the comments section on YouTube. Will this work? Is it important to understand who Bryan Kohberger was as a child as to who he was as an adult? 27, 28 years old, you are flowing into adulthood pretty good. You're there. You are an effing adult by that age. I'm sorry, you are. They're just kids. Yeah, you know what? Other generations were coming back from World War II at that age, having done a lot of life. Doesn't matter that you've been coddled a good chunk of your life and never had a way to figure things out and just kind of regressed back into your own dark ways of thinking, allegedly. What do you think? Tell me in the comments section on YouTube. If you're not there yet, just search Hidden Killers with Tony Bruschi wherever on YouTube, if you're listening on the podcast platform. Hit subscribe wherever it is, at the very least, so you don't miss any of our continuing coverage on this case and the many that we follow for you here at Hidden Killers and True Crime Today. I'm Tony Bruschi. We'll talk again real soon.
Craving non-stop true crime updates? Press subscribe now and get the latest cases, analysis, and expert commentary delivered straight to your feed. Only from the Hidden Killers podcast and True Crime Today.